Hi everyone, I'm just back from the intense experience of To a Land Unknown, a story about undocumented people in Athens. What is so brilliant about this film, I think, is that it really makes us think about what we are looking at and how we look at it. And it also makes the viewer ask, what is my relationship to this material? Which, after all, given that this is a study of migrancy, is a central political question for our age and an urgent moral one as well. What saddens me is that the people who need to see this film most, probably, who are the people who currently subscribe to some of the stereotypes and cliches about undocumented people as threats, will probably not see this film or may well not see this film, judging by the chatter at the beginning of the film, which was all about the horrors of a press conference that Donald Trump, or an appearance Donald Trump and J.D. Vance made today with Volodymyr Zelensky, in the White House, where they basically told him off for not being more grateful to the American Imperium. And everyone in this audience was horrified by that. It really was a bunch of aging white liberals. I mean, I say that knowing that most of them are older than me, and in a way, this film also rebukes that particular political group because it refuses to sentimentalize refugees or asylum seekers or undocumented people. It's quite confrontational in the way it refuses purity. And I do think that one of the things liberals can be accused of is sentimentality and glibness sometimes. So it's not that we as a group are, I would count myself as one of the people critiqued here, it's not that we are necessarily going to find the film a cosy, comforting, intellectually straightforward experience, and I think that's a good thing. But really, in the end, the more profound rebuke is, I think, to the apostles of hard borders and cruel treatment of migrants, and I don't think they're going to see it. And that stayed with me as a problem throughout this film, because the film knows this about itself. The film knows what its audience is going to be. And one of the things it brilliantly does is follow these two young men round Athens as they get into increasingly horrific situations where they do increasingly terrible things in order to get money to get out, to get fake passports to get out. But the way the camera follows them is it never zooms far enough out to give you enough distance. You're constantly in this intense close-up. And that means that instead of a cityscape, although this is a film about cities and about life in a city, what you get is surfaces. That's to say, surfaces often of walls, brick, and stone. There are moments of openness, of open space in this film, but they're treated quite interestingly. I want to talk about that. But a lot of it is very zoomed up, close spaces, claustrophobic spaces. But what I noticed was that almost none of those backgrounds are blank. They are covered in words. All the way through this film, you will see silent voices. You don't hear them, you see them. You see their residue. You see people have been there and what they have felt and what they have left. And so quite often you'll see free Palestine. Palestine will be free. ACAB, I saw at one point. Some of the signs are in Greek, so I think I might not have understood. I didn't understand those. There's probably quite a lot I didn't understand. But nonetheless, what was clear was that space was a palimpsest of experiences and ideological positions in this film, and they encroach on the viewer like a silent chorus. And that extends to skin. At one point, one of the characters who engages in sex work as a way to try to make money, and I think that's handled really quite sensitively. He is then, you've had that scene, it's just happened, I think, for the first time. You've seen him do that. And then the very next scene, he's lying naked from the waist up with his back to you, and you can see his skin, and it's got tiny marks on it. And it moves so fast, I wasn't sure what we were supposed to be looking at. I was thinking, why are we being shown this quite long shot? I mean, I say it moves fast, but for just footage of a man's back, it's quite a long time. Why are we being shown this? Am I supposed to be seeing something here? Am I missing that he's maybe been hurt during this sexual encounter, or something's happened to him? And then he turned over and there was his torso from the front. And I could swear, and I've got to watch it again to check this over, that there's a tattoo of what is, I believe, the borders, a recognizable tattoo of the borders of Palestine and occupied territories. And so this, even what you look at when you look at the surface of skin, is a political space for this film. There are, however, momentary refuges, I think, from politics, or perhaps better to say political arrangements which feel like they escape that close claustrophobic presence of power and domination and the law. And they are these improvised spaces that are created in empty buildings by undocumented people. And there's a wonderful kind of public square that emerges with abandoned or repurposed bits of furniture where people can have conversations, talk to each other, have debates, smoke, share space. But those sorts of places are contained and contested, I think it's fair to say. But they offer moments of oxygen. There's a great moment where the two men are at the top of a hill and one of them is peeing, and the arc of the piss goes out over what is finally, a panorama of the city, and the other guy says, "You're peeing on Athens." And it's great because one of the things I loved about this film is that at no point, including in this panorama, do we ever see any of the famous archetypal architectural images of Athens. There's no Parthenon. Whatever direction they're facing in this scene has nothing to do with any of that. It's as though what we're being told here is, do not look for the usual landmarks. This is a film about displacement to a land unknown. Who is doing the knowing? Who is doing the looking? Who is moving, and where are they going? And at the end of this film, these two men are still in motion, but I'm not going to give away any more than that. So, in other words, this film, as well as morally unsettling, whatever wish you have for the kind of people these men should be because of their political status, whether that's a sentimentalizing projection or whether it's an exoticizing projection, nonetheless, as well as unsettling that, this film also is a wonderful essay in what it is to inhabit space outside, but also profoundly entrapped within political myths and narratives. It's a brilliant film. It's a film that makes you look and then look again. And I think in that sense, it's a film that tries to open a space. It tries to make you question how you look. And in that tiny gain that you might come out of the cinema with, there could be a profound learning, a space of freedom that the film doesn't really allow its characters literally. But then, as I say, who is watching? Who is watching? I think you should watch it, and I hope you enjoy it. Thank you.